Okay, good morning, all. So today we'll start going to reaction to our little a friend, a fellow content creator, in defense of I have to say probably one of the most probably controversial people in anime. Um, okay, like pure degenerate wise. Um, which is good. Which is gonna be hilarious. Um, though to be honest. This is gonna be funny. This is gonna be
Made them
hilarious.
into a successful business.
Uh, wait, what? Okay, wait, hold up. It should not be. I'm sorry. This should not be happening. I really should get YouTube Premium, to be honest. I mean, well, I'm a broke bastard, so yeah, whatever. But anyway, let's get down to hopefully what stupid ads, Uh, ads, bullshit ads. But anyhow,
Is to generate an emotional response in the audience, and one of the ways this is accomplished is by having major events happen to the characters in the story. They move homes, they get a new job, they get sick, they fall in love, they go to war, they have a child, they lose a loved one. When these things happen to the character, they will feel a certain way about it, and assuming the character is well written, the audience will also feel a certain way about it. The only limit to what can happen is in the imagination of the writer. But there is one subject that makes people extremely uncomfortable, and that subject is assault, and not the physical kind. People have a visceral reaction to it, even more than things like mutilation, genocide, or any other horrifically violent scenario you could imagine. Well, today, I'm gonna
which is true. To be honest, which is true. He's right. He is right.
argue why it's not only a valid element of fiction, but show that in some instances it can enhance the story by its very nature. Now, before I really get into the meat of the argument, I do need to address a small but vocal minority that I know will be making their presence known in the comments. There is a fringe belief out there that media that contains sexual assault is fundamentally immoral, and those who create it or consume it must be apologists for that behavior in the real world. That if you enjoy any story in which a character gets raped, you must believe that rape is good. Most of you watching this will intrinsically understand that this only makes sense if you don't think about it, but I'll quickly
Yeah, literally, if you turn off your brain, you have to turn off your brain, and you have to turn off your brain and say, okay, okay, you have to more than turn off your brain at that point. I mean, it's just okay. It's not just turning off your brain. It's just you're thinking sickly at that point. You're turning off your brain and thinking sickly. Uh,
explain for those of you who haven't quite caught up yet. I believe that sexual violence in fiction is acceptable for the same reasons I believe that physical violence in fiction is acceptable. It's not real. We rightly
There we
laugh at the
go.
Jack Thompson
The best part, it's not real. It's just a drawing.
wannabes who say that Doom or Mortal Kombat or Grand Theft Auto will cause people to commit mass violence because we
If you know it, I'm sorry for keep on stopping. Um, if you if so you know the violence, it's the violence in video games. Good, the evil violence, the 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 the, the hardcore violence, it's just that violence in video games, all the violence and everything like that. But oh, yo, let's not talk about all the crazy violence in movies and stuff like that. Let's not do that. Let's just talk about video games.
know that when somebody gets hurt or killed in a video game, no violence actually happened. And there have been studies on the connection between video game violence and real world violence, and they overwhelmingly fail to even prove a correlation. I would argue that the same is true of sexual violence in fiction as well. And anecdotally, I've actually noticed an inverse correlation between the family friendliness of a piece of media and how well adjusted its fans are. If you're going to argue that media containing sexual assault is only made or consumed by dangerous people, I'm gonna need more justification than dude trust me. And if you can't accept that fictional sexual assault isn't real, you're probably 12 years old, in which case you shouldn't be watching my videos anyway. So here's how the rest of this video is gonna go. Rather than talk about the topic purely as an abstract concept, I'm going to showcase a few direct examples. For those new to my channel, I primarily make reviews and critiques of visual novels and similar media. Visual novels are text-based stories, but they have accompanying music and visuals, and will sometimes include things like dialogue choices and gameplay elements. But one interesting facet about visual novels is that they evolved out of the Japanese porn games of the 80s and 90s, which means that even though visual novels are not inherently pornographic, and there are many that don't include any sexual content whatsoever, it's not uncommon for visual novels, even the ones that are serious artistic and literary works, to have explicit sex scenes. What this means for this video is that when a visual novel contains sexual assault, it's often not just included, but actively depicted, which turns every aspect of it up a notch. I'm going to talk about 3 pieces of media today that all contain sexual assault, but all handle it differently. First will be Euphoria, the visual novel, not the
Oh
2019.
boy. Oh boy. He starts off with something. um okay, I'm just gonna say, if you watch the hen version of it, I give you praise. I give you praise. Because to be honest, I'm just gonna say I skimmed through through some of it. Okay, quite frank, most of it. I'm just gonna not gonna lie, most of it, and it it just seems to okay from actually okay. Hold up, okay, that is probably okay. Okay, uh, this you feel me? Didn't I'd say now that's just the hen version of it. I've only did the hen version of it. I've watched Ultimate Door. Now that one scared the shit out of me. Like few years ago, I was completely traumatized with. That was years ago. That is tame in comparison to that right there to this. So I, I've evolved. I have to say I've evolved over the few years. I'd say the 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 more I think of this and Ultimate Dora, um I'd say I'm glad I'm glad Ultimate Dora got to me first before this.
TV show. Next will be the Sayanu Uta visual novel.
Now
And
I have not played this. I want to play this. Um but I would love to play it on the channel, but from um what I think I've seen is it's it's too much for YouTube to even for it's too much for YouTube. So for it's way too much for YouTube. So if anything to play this, I would have to I would have to find a complete degenerate site to upload it on there and probably unhook everything to where it doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't go anywhere else besides that one site, and um hope for the best.
last will be the Rants game series. Don't worry
Now I have not played Rants, but I know about it because the hand versions. Um, if you don't know who Ren is, boy, strap yourself in because you're in for a ride.
if you don't know one or more of these, I'll explain the necessary bits as we go. With that, let's begin. Euphoria is a psychological horror visual novel. I'm showing footage of the absolutely terrible hentai adaptation, but I'll be talking about the VN, that has a cryptic and layered plot meant to be uncovered bit by bit as you replay it to get all the different endings. The premise is that the protagonist Keisuke has woken up in a mysterious facility alongside several of his classmates and his teacher. In order to escape, they must complete a series of trials, all of which involve Keisuke being forced to do various things of an extreme sexual nature to the others. Failure
Yeah, and it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Like it, I have to say, okay, you have okay to watch the head version. You have to have like okay, it starts tame a little bit, except hold up, wait a minute, let me see. Except this scene right here, this the girl in a wheelchair, um, I'm strapped to a chair, um, I don't know why I said wheelchair, um, that I have to say for me was that's when you find out, hey, you're in for a ride, and boy, again, like I said, you're in for a ride. Like really, you really should strap yourself in because oh, I
In
should
order to
laugh.
escape, they must complete a series of trials, all of which on these desires would
Hold
be.
up.
He's fully aware that acting. Keisuke has a fetish for this kind of thing. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah, he unfortunately does. Unfortunately, he does.
he's not a bad person. He has a functioning conscience and he's fully aware that acting on these desires would be wrong, so he suppresses them in his day to day life with no real issues aside from a bit of shame for having these thoughts in the first place. But now he's in a situation where he's forced to engage in that behavior and the two halves of his mind are in conflict with one another. He has a visceral enjoyment when doing the trials, but once finished, he hates himself for it. And to make matters worse, one of his classmates, Nemu, is constantly provoking him and
Okay, it's okay. It's like It's like the feeling when you get from flapping and fingering and using your fingers over a period of time, doing other activities that I can't say on YouTube. Um, so it's the feeling of, hey, you feel good, but afterwards, the deep shame of it.
actively attempting to make him embrace his dark side. While this is far from the only conflict, much of the story outside
Though
the
let's say teacher's hot,
true route hinges on the question of will Keisuke remain himself or will
and her, she's hot too. Though there's other there's another reason why I say she's quite hot. And I'd say she's I if I remember right, um, I'd say she's my favorite.
he succumb to his demons?
Though her Neville over here is definitely the quite second. Definitely definitely the quite second.
And the sex scenes in Euphoria are mostly very extreme and deliberately so. And by the very nature of them being threatened with death, all participants
Hold on. I think it was her or her. I can't remember which one that that the end the end part that I like so much. I think it's her. I think it's her or the other one that I said that says the number one. It's one of them too.
are in fact sexual assault victims. The thing that a lot of people fail to realize about Euphoria is that it's meant to make you uncomfortable. The extreme nature of the scenes highlights the contrasting nature of the story. On the one hand, we get to see Keisuke's personality in its extreme form in contrast to how he is when he's in normal guy mode. He goes from being a pretty standard kind of high school protagonist to someone who has been completely overcome by his lizard brain and acts like a monster. Will he get through this with his humanity intact,
And boy, does he act like a monster. Boy, does he.
Or will he let this newfound situation completely take him over? There are endings depicting both, and they all feed into this overarching dynamic. And there's another contrast between Keisuke and the reader. As mentioned before, you're supposed to be uncomfortable during these scenes, and the fact that Keisuke is showing his sadistic side is also meant to make you very uncomfortable. Now, it's true that some adult games and visual novels, particularly a lot of Nukige, will kinda lighten the mood in their sex scenes and will avoid showing all the negative consequences of the more extreme or less consensual
Unfortunately, unfortunately.
acts, or in some cases, those negative consequences don't even exist in the context of that fictional universe. But Euphoria does give these scenes a level of gravitas that you don't see in most visual novels with this level of sexual content. To repeat what was said earlier, Euphoria is a psychological horror, and much of that horror comes from seeing how such an extreme level of stress and trauma can affect our cast of characters. So the average reader will not have Keisuke's reactions to those scenes. Keisuke always has this manic glee, and his partners are always visibly distressed, even though most of them are willing to endure the trials because they know that this is just what needs to be done. And in fact, two of them derive either pleasure or satisfaction from the situation for reasons that are a bit spoilery. But even they look like they're close to breaking during the scenes. These are real characters with real motivations, and with the exception of the soft antagonist Nemu, the typical reader doesn't want them to suffer. So having the protagonist's emotional response conflict with the viewer's emotional response serves as a dissonance to amplify the entire tone of "this is really messed up."
Um, the if you that the girl that was I think that was that was just getting the shock of a lifetime. Um, she won her Denny's prize. Um, I think that was the girl that was in the chair before. I think if I
And
remember
then in the
right.
second half of the
I can't
non
remember.
true routes, Keisuke is put into more of a submissive role, as the antagonist of that section puts him and those around them through things that are even more twisted than in the beginning. And while these scenes are also meant to make you uncomfortable, it does so for a different reason. I can't even describe some of the things that happen in this section without potentially running into TOS issues, and I actually had a physical reaction to one of them, which I didn't even think could happen at the time, since it's pretty hard for fiction to rock me. But this section is meant to make you have a visceral reaction to just how far the antagonist is willing to go and just how evil they can be. The goal is to make this antagonist into a brutal and overpowering presence that puts more and more pressure on Keisuke's psyche as the ordeal goes on. And it also actually serves a dual purpose, as the true ending makes you think about the entire story in a different way, which completely recontextualizes the things that are happening and adds another crazy layer to things. Which does tie into the whole "you're meant to be uncomfortable" thing. But that can't be discussed without spoiling things, and if you can handle it, Euphoria really should be on your reading list. So that's the first use of sexual assault in fiction, as a cudgel to bash the
Read or watch list, to be honest. um, so I have to say both. I have to say the watch part. Um, again, I'm just gonna say, if I remember right, I can't remember. I can't remember which episode it is. I think it's three. I think it's the third or fourth one, if I remember right. um, I shouldn't be laughing. I think I'm sure. I'm sure. If it's, I am sure. I think it's the last two. Just I'm gonna say this. Just be careful. Really, just be careful because the last two I think aren't for the faint of heart. Like really, like really.
the audience over the head. The next thing I want to talk about is the visual novel Saya no Uta. Unfortunately, some mild to moderate spoilers are necessary in this section, nothing that should ruin your experience with it, but the first big reveal, alongside two major events that happen later in the story, will have to be spoiled. If you want to avoid this, that's completely understandable, so you can use this timestamp or the chapters down below. Saya no
Okay, okay. As much as I want to to uh to 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 do thing okay. As much as I want to listen to this, I want to play it. To be honest, I want to play it. So that's okay. That's what I think I want to play it so I can be traumatized and and make a video of it and make a video of it. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I've been yearning for this moment.
Okay, you too.
Events. Ready for a bit of a tonal shift? The last piece of media I'm going to cover today handles the topic very differently. Rants is a series of adult games that spanned from 1989 to 2018. It was a pretty
I'd say if you know who Rance is, again, I'm gonna say, um, Rance is okay. Rance is probably um okay. If you know Rance, then then I'd say you won't be surprised probably at this at just being who Rance is. If you're new to Rance, um, just be prepared because you're about to have your mind probably blown. And quite frank, the hypocrisy out of Rance, I would say, is just troll level. Like really, at times.
big hit and inspired titles such as Nekopata and Mushoku Tensei. Yes, really.
Love Nekopata, still my favorite. Still love it. We'll gladly die on that hill.
And its finale, Rants 10 Showdown, currently holds the record for the longest script of any video game ever, clocking in at roughly 3.8 million Japanese characters. It hasn't released in English yet. Rants started out as a pure parody of fantasy RPGs. Remember that this was 1989, right around the time the earliest
And say another thing, it's quite funny because guess why? Because Rance was actually a freaking if people most people do not know don't know this I don't think um like like way at the beginning I think it was that that apparently they was gonna rant apparently Rance was like like super like super good and like okay like from from what I watched like this was like months ago. Rance was like a gig like freaking Giga Chad.
Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games were releasing. The main gimmick is that instead of a valiant hero fighting for the weak, the titular Rance is a narcissistic, horny asshole who thinks he's a valiant and noble hero. The series would eventually escape the realm of pure parody and develop a real, fleshed out story, though it did keep its comedic roots and it also kept Rance's assholery, and the fact that he always wants sex and isn't particularly concerned with whether or not the women around him also want sex. Yeah, the Rance series is one of the biggest examples of an okay, hear me out kind of game. But yes, Rance commits sexual assault quite a few times and it is often played up for laughs. That
And boy does he commit it. Like uh, like okay I say just go watch the hand version of Rants, and boy, about what like I'd say I'd say damn near about the whole damn episode. It's basically that. It's basically that. Like I mean, though I'd say it's hot. It's hot, but I mean, it's basically that. But though I'd say though my favorite part of the hidden version of Rants is I think I there's a dark elf there that's okay, there's a dark elf that's there, and there's a green haired girl. I don't know I can't remember the fuck her name is, but I'd say those two are my two kinks.
admittedly sounds really fucked up, but the way it's presented to the player softens the edges up quite a lot. Rance often leans into ridiculous, absurdist humor. Rance once yelled at the sun for daring to shine in his eyes while he's sleepy. At one point, he tried to sleep with a ghost, but when he jumped on her, he went right through and crashed into the floor. He once accidentally nuked a sentient alien race into extinction. He cured an epidemic with his dick. The events of Rance 4 happened because he just casually pissed off God himself about halfway through the previous game. While Rance does have a serious story from 3 onward, it is at its core extremely goofy, and it's clear that many scenes are basically in silly mode. So we have to realize that sexual assault in the Rance universe doesn't function the same as it does in the real world, or how it's depicted in most other fictional works. In this context, it's basically the sexual equivalent of Wile E. Coyote having an anvil dropped on his head after falling off a cliff. In the real world, he'd be a smear on the ground, but in context, it becomes a mild annoyance to him at worst. Same thing with the sexual assault in Rance. In the real world, it's a horrifying and traumatic thing that destroys lives, but in the Rance universe, it just isn't for the most part. It's an upsetting thing, sure, but
You're
Rance's victims
surprising.
always get over it remarkably quickly, and often the only lasting impact is that they're just kinda pissed at him. So when Rance delivers the Hammer of Justice, his words not mine, to the main antagonist of the first game, the player's first thought isn't, oh, this is horrible and disturbing, and instead they're able to fully embrace the absurdity of this subversive take on the hero triumphing over the villain. In Rance, the extreme nature of sexual assault is not used as a source of horror or trauma like the other titles I talked about today, but as a source of absurdity. We don't think, oh no, how awful, because we know the girl's gonna be fine. It allows us to laugh at how out of pocket Rance is being, and how crazy it is that when confronting ruthless, powerful, and evil villains, his first instinct is often to boink them. Although interestingly, there are times when sexual assault is not done as a pure joke in the Rance games. In these instances, it's mostly used to amplify the evil factor of an antagonist. See, the thing about Rance the character is that yes, he is very rapey, but his goal is not to necessarily cause suffering. He is purely out for his own gratification, and the desires of the people around him simply don't factor into his calculations. Hell, in Rance 4, one of the women he meets shares his proclivities, and they end up working together, as it were. At one point, Rance actually reins her in and tells her that she's going too far with one of their victims. When she goes past the point of wanting to make herself feel good and into the realm of wanting to make someone else feel bad, Rance gets uncomfortable and puts a stop to it. So, he has lines. So when a villain commits a sexual assault, it's almost
Which is surprising. Rance has lines. I mean, I, I, I mean, when he goes around, taking taking people's hams, you know, with his sausage, it's quite, like, hey, like, whatever, like, you have lines, but but you're going around, slipping people your salami, you know.
almost always framed in a twisted and sadistic way. For example, the antagonists of Rance 2 were 4 mages who had become possessed by cursed magical rings and were forced to do evil things. One of them would kidnap women and do some pretty messed up things to them that were not treated lightly by the game. One minor antagonist in Rance 6 was obsessed with tracking down one of the side characters and killing her, and he raised his daughter to be extremely powerful so that she could do what he was growing too old for. And part of that process involved transferring his magical power to her through sexual abuse, which the game treats as horrifying, and it even causes the person she was trying to kill to forgive her and feel sorry for her. One of the side quests in Rance 6 was all about destroying a brothel that caters to clients who, let's just say they prefer youthful workers, and Rance himself is full of righteous fury upon learning that one of the camp had at one point been trafficked to that location. So despite being a comedic series that does make light of sexual assault, it's also capable of treating it seriously, and it's actually quite impressive that they're able to have these two elements coexist without breaking the player's immersion. And honestly, I think both uses of sexual assault are able to enhance their respective tones. And that's the third use of sexual assault in fiction, a means of delivering absurdist comedy and as a means of making a villain that much more evil. So to be clear, I'm obviously not saying that sexual assault is a good thing. Of course not. But what I am saying is that it does have legitimate artistic value in the context of fiction writing. Not only is it a thing that people actually experience, which I think on its own would be enough justification to include it in fiction, but it elicits intense and visceral reactions that are difficult to achieve through other means. When used properly, the extreme nature of sexual assault can be used to enhance the tone of a story, as a defining moment in a character's arc, as a means of showcasing an unredeemably evil villain, or in some cases, making a scene so absurd that you can't help but laugh. George Carlin had an excellent take on that last one.
Like rape, they'll say, you can't joke about rape. Rape's not funny. I say, fuck you, I think it's hilarious. How do you like?
Oh, I'm saying, uh, this is okay. If you don't know who this is what he said he said it I forgot. Oh my god, it's George Clooney, Clooney something. Hold up. hold up. Yeah, okay. George Carlin. George Carlin. Okay. um, if you don't know who he is, I'd say go watch him. Um, I'd say I'd say this that man was ahead of his times. Um, if you have what okay, if you talk okay, if you see what today okay, you clearly see what the hell, most of y'all see what the hell is going on today. um now this was what, like 10, 20, like 20, 30, 40 years ago, or I think even longer than that. But the poor man's passed away. But I think like a few years ago, I think this year, or I think it was like in the last 10 years. It was the last 15 years, I think. I yeah, I think so. Anyway, um, uh, okay, go watch him. And I'd say come back. You'll get some laughs out of this. Out of him. Believe me, you'll get some laughs. If but I mean, just be comfortable, because I mean it's bit, you know dry humor. I mean I mean you gotta have a, uh can you okay, you gotta be able to take a joke. Yeah, you gotta be able to take a joke and not take some things he says too seriously. But his views on the government and shit and some of the stuff, I would say his best work. But
Last one.
Like rape. They'll say, you can't joke about rape. Rape's not funny. I say, fuck you. I think it's hilarious. How do you like that? I can prove to you that rape is funny. Picture Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd.
So yeah,
see, see, there you go. See, that's as I say, you're gonna get some laughs out of him.
as uncomfortable a topic as it is, sexual assault does have real value in art, and I think it's high time we all stop being so outraged when people write about it. Thanks for
That too.
watching. Big thank you to my members, especially my $10 members Bulk Squat Thrust and President Irina Vladimirovna Putina. If you want to join them in supporting the channel and get early access to future videos for as little as $1 a month, hit the join button down below. And let's be real here, I'm probably not making any money on this video, so that would be appreciated. But if that's not your thing, liking and subscribing is free and it does actually help me out. And of course, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts in the comments section down below. Well, once again,
Okay, there we go. Again, great. Um, mm, okay. Oh, so um, let's let's get let's get down to the fun part. I'm gonna say um, if you don't mind, please liking and subscribing on his videos. Um, because it's just so my so boy some love. Anyway, let's go down to the glorious comment section, cause 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 that's really where the fun's at. Uh, that's really where the fun's at. Okay, let's see. Let's get down to the goodness. They tried to cancel him just because he has an opinion that there is depth in a Fury game, and now bro says I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Like there's a like there's a character in a magical show girl. Like there's a magical girl show. Okay, part one you left out. Rant section that gives cartoon violence. Part is that Rance gets punished if his deeds heroic. The best example is the scene with Mika and Rance one, where trying to steal her pencil results in Rance getting slammed into the wall. If the narrative didn't constantly punish uh, Rance for his choices, it would it would slowly fall out it was slowly falling funny and into terrifying, and into terrifying territory. Okay, right into the thumbnail. Must click. Okay. Personally, as long as it stays fiction, I don't care what people are into. It would it would be hypocritical as someone who likes sister characters. My issue is too many people act. Okay, hold up. Too many people act like people's preferences are in fiction are automatically equal to reality. It used to be it used to be the lowly argument, which I also think is stupidly overblown. Is now expanded to almost every form of questionable fiction. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's unfortunately that's unfortunately the case with the three-letter word. I mean with the four-letter word. Quite frank. Um, eh, it's oh hey there's the corn there's the lowly, so oh my goodness, you like this lowly, oh you're well, what's wrong with you, how could you, that's a don't you see a child, who cares if she's 500 years old, oh yada yada, just flies, flies in the face of, at times, like, come on now, the character's not even, like the character's not even real. But I mean, hey, you know, that's your crazy messed up mind, Okay, hold up. Hot take, rants, Final Fantasy. Uh, but possibly, I can see it a little bit. I agree with you most. I agree with you 100% mostly. I think you're on point at the start of the video. It is the most correct. If we agree that violence in video games is okay, we have to also accept it to be true about sexual violence as well. It's a narrative tool. It's a narrative tool that can be used well or unwell. If Game of Thrones can do it, then why not video games? You using this tool in games doesn't mean that you think it's acceptable behavior in real life. It doesn't even mean it's acceptable behavior with with uh, with within the game world. I mean, again, yeah. I mean, uh, like I was saying at the beginning of the movie, at the beginning of the video, like, it's fine. It's freaking fine for the movies and shit and stuff to do that crap. But oh no, when video games do it. Oh no, it's the end of the world. Like, come on now, like you can't eat your like you can't what's that freaking word? What's the freaking phrase? Uh, it's something you can't eat your you can't it I forgot what the hell it was. It's freaking something. Uh, But anyway, also okay. One thing to keep in mind. Okay, hold up. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is that in rants, there's always guys nastier than him. And meanwhile, in Soya's song and Euphoria, the two protagonists can quickly become the worst. I yeah, I mean, and Euphoria, yeah, yeah. All you really got to do is watch the head of Euphoria, and you can you. I mean, it's there. It's like right there in front of your face. um, and say a song. Again. I know I skipped it, but I really want to be able to do it. I really want to be able to do like a review of this on my own. Um, so that's something. Um, good. I don't remember watching these videos. Like, um, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yada yada. Rent story is okay until meeting the younger brother. Redo of the healer. I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen Redo of the Healer, that's another good one. Though I'd say he damn near looks almost completely like, okay, he looks like Rance. Which is terrible. I mean, I mean, I think, okay, if you go off the cover art, I think it's season 1. You I think or okay, it's that, or like the first few episodes. You'll see him, almost, I think, have get like the Rants get up, which which is not enjoying. Though it's quite, though, okay, it's not enjoying, but it's funny to see. Um, Another juicy topic. Can't wait to hear about some new visual novels. No, some new visual uh ends by Issei. Sees Azura picked all of which I read and like. Okay, good taste. Well, I have no idea. Eh, So iffy. Okay. eh, Uh, this is why I gatekeep. You can't really have normies that can't digest reality. No, okay, yeah, okay, wait, okay, yeah. You can't have normies that can't distinguish reality from fiction, manufacturing outrage of nothing, out of nothing. Yeah. Okay, I'm coming back to this video only because I'm halfway through your video. But thanks for the content. I love to hear opinions later. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, that's gonna be it. Um, uh, uh, I would say, thank you all. Um, I just say, if again, I want to, I I want to watch. Um, okay. I want to. What? 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 Wait. What? Uh, sorry, computer. Good old freaking computer loves to it loves to cut off. It loves to do the little blow battery thing, and not freaking cut off anymore. Thank goodness for that. But anywho, I would say, please go check him out. Our boy over here, Azura, Az yeah, hold up, Azu. I'm sorry, I can't read his name, but yo, just go check out our boy. Here, there you go. There you go. Uh, go check out our boy over here. Anywho, um, he's last I checked, he's still getting hate for, I forgot what video the hell it was. Um, I forgot what video I think. Hold up, let me see if I can find it. I think, what video was it? He's uh, last I checked, he was getting hate from, I think it was this one. I think it was this video that he was getting hate, like a lot, and like all these freaking views. I mean, goodness gracious. Um, what the hell was it? He was getting a lot of hate for what, I think it was one freaking video. I think it was this one. I think it was this one. That I haven't finished. um, I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna go watch that, probably, or finish it up. Uh, Probably this weekend, or maybe next weekend. I have no idea. But anyhow, yeah. Um. Uh, I know. Let me just get just shut up and be done. Um, Again, thank you all for coming. I appreciate for taking time to watch. Go check out our boy over here. Again, if you don't mind, get showing him some love. Subscribe to him. They'll do help him out a little bit. I mean, he don't need it, but still, I mean, again, every little bit helps. Um, but also, what the hell was I gonna say? Later on today, I'm gonna do um what's that video? Nines for this afternoon. Again, please tell me if you can hear better and all that stuff. I'm quite interested what you all think and all that stuff. But anywho, thank you again for coming. Okay, there we go.